tell you something. In hospital, and you hear of it a lot when you're in hospital, people get very constipated. Very constipated. And I wasn't immune from this either when I went to hospital. And I've taken, I'm not a big one for laxatives. I'm like, oh no, that can lead to more trouble. But at one stage I like trapped wind, and I'm like, have you got anything that I can take for trapped wind? And they're like, okay, well take this stuff and lie on your bed and use the remote control legs on the bed. Lift up your legs, that might give you some relief. So I'm sat with my legs in the air because I've got trapped wind. It's like, this hurts. I don't like this. Well, constipation is a major thing in hospital. Now, it's like, I managed to get like a good 8 hours, a solid 8 hours sleep, and that's as much as I need, and that's good. If you don't wake up in the night and you get a solid 8 hours sleep, it's like, haven't you done well? And I haven't had a solid 8 hours sleep for about a week. Because when you're in hospital, the most sleep you'll get is about 3 hours if you're lucky, and that won't be, you will get woken up. You think you're up all night, but you're not. You're getting 20 minutes here and you're getting 20 minutes there and you're getting 20 minutes. Quite often when people swear that they had a sleepless night, they didn't. They just kept waking up. They just kept waking up. You have people who could be lying in bed in stir, convinced that they haven't had a wink of sleep, when they have. They've just been in and out, in and out, in and out. So you should never say to yourself, I didn't sleep at all last night, because you did. Thinking you didn't makes it kind of worse. You should always think you probably got some sleep, and then you don't make an issue of it. Because you did. Human beings cannot tell the time with their eyes closed. Not so great at it. But it's a matter of what goes on when you're asleep. And to my mind, all the plumbing happens. All the plumbing, all the hard stuff, all the digestive movement happens when you're asleep. I wake up and the first thing I do in the morning is go and have a dump every day. That is my routine. And it's like, that's a good routine I've got there. And it's like, why? It's like regular as clockwork. And there's nothing better than regular as clockwork for that kind of thing. Sleep pattern gets interrupted. Suddenly I'm constipated. So this morning I has 8 hours sleep and gets up, and the first thing I do is have an almighty massive week's worth of dump. And I'm like, oh, what a good day. It's like, what a perfect start to the day. And then this thing I've got, right? I'm going to wear this, to remind me not to use this hand for anything strenuous at all. So I'm keeping the wristband as a reminder that this is the hand I'm supposed to do everything with. I've got to rest this hand. I keep slipping up and using this hand to turn door handles, and it's like, that's no good. So keeping the wristband is a way of me remembering to use this hand all the time. If I look after this other hand, I'll be all right to drive in a couple of days, and that'll be a bonus. If I rest this hand properly, I'll be able to walk these dogs on a lead, because I couldn't risk them pulling. That'd be probably the worst thing for it. So it's like, your right arm being disabled is a bigger deal than what you went to the hospital with in the first place. So in some ways, it's like you need your right hand when you're right-handed for everything. So that's the concern now, is to try and fix my arm. So this is what's going to help me fix my arm. This is the reminder that you have to do everything left-handed, mate. Or think about every time you're going to use that hand for anything. As to it's probably not useful for me to be using a mouse with my right hand at the minute. Need it to heal quickly. and it's sore, and it's like it's like nerves have been excited. It's not. It's things inside there have had a nudge and are a little bit bruised. So it's like this is like pain that can be fought with painkillers, but it's like no less uncomfortable and needs to heal. So my busted arm is the number one thing on my mind at this moment in time. And to say this thing is like totally plastic, so it won't go smelly or rotten or anything like that. And it's a matter of, I'm going to take this wristband off when my arm's right. And people are like, you've got a hospital wristband, have you escaped from hospital? And I'm like, no. It's a reminder. It's a good way of operating, because it's like, I've had to start obeying some rules recently because I'm changing some things. So I've started to count things that normally I wouldn't count. I'm starting to take stock of things. So it's like it's useful to give yourself a bit of a visual aid. The one time it makes you think is saved you. Just the one time. So it's like a bit of a magic trick. And a magic trick that would work on everybody. It's akin to sticking a post-it note on the inside of one of my lenses and my glasses. That would get me attention, wouldn't that? That'd make sure. Sticking a note on a fridge, that's the thing too. But anyway, I did say it when I came in. I needed to get off my chest all kinds of things that had gone on that I'd seen. That I had a mixed experience of being in the old hospital. It's been terrible and also enlightening, and also a bit frightening, and very enlightening, and also got to meet and talk to some really great people. So it's like I find myself, it's like I've got very, very good reasons to be a little bit sceptical of the NHS. Very good reasons. And in the past, I mean, you can go back on my channel, it's like the NHS, these are my reasons for being sceptical as to where this organisation has always managed to fail me. It's not failed everyone, but it's failed me. I can make a case that it has failed me and likely fails others. But it's like you get to know the people, a few of the people who operate within it, and it's like, tell you what, there's no intention here to hurt people. There's no intention here to cock the job up. There's no intention. So, but this system certainly does fail people. So it's like, I'm someone who's been failed by it, and it's like, I'll say something where the COVID thing, right? They've been made to suffer for that. The weird, almost trigger, emotional. It's like someone mentions COVID, pandemic, they're like, ooh. There's no pandemic restriction in that hospital at the minute, but a few members of the staff are still going around wearing face masks all the time. And you mention COVID, and they're like, they saw people die of that. So you can't tell them it wasn't a thing, right? Because they're in the hospital. And if you look at the people who I was in hospital with for infirmity, right? Something like COVID would kill them. I've seen people who be in that status to where COVID go through them like a dose of salts and kill them. Had COVID. To me, I defeated it in, I'd say 24 hours illness. All in all, whole episode, 36 hours COVID. I'd say I was ill for 24 hours, and I could recognise as to where one thing that I noticed more than anything is I had absolutely no appetite, none, and to snap out of being ill of it, as soon as fit to, make sure to just start eating as normal, whether you needed it or not, whether you thought you wanted to eat or not, get it down you. And I'm immediately like, oh, people I know have died of this now, at that stage, people I know. And it's like, what did they have in common? Diabetic. What have they died of? Well, the diabetes has done them in. It's like, why? It's like, well, they've lost the sense data that allows them to manage the sugar and things like that. Appetite being a massive driver in the, you know, in a diabetic being able to monitor the condition. Really, it's like managing an engine. It's like you lose that telemetry and you're fucked. I was talking to, say, nurse I made friends with about it. Like, that's what they should have been telling people about that COVID, as to this is why it's so dangerous to diabetics. If they'd have said so, it wouldn't have been so bad. People would understand as to hey, you know, there's a real reason to keep these, for there to be not a lockdown, but quarantine. They could have thought of it in more specific ways, because, say, COVID definitely wiped out diabetics. When I had it, I'm like, if I were diabetic, I'd be fucked. Just getting it, knowing it. My father's diabetic. I've had people around me be diabetic all my whole life. But it's like, when diabetics have this sort of discipline as to how they look after themselves, when the tragedies of life hit them, when the wives leave them and they're diabetic, and they say, oh, fuck it, that's when they start to have major problems. When the personal life dies and they start on the ale, that's when they start having problems. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when it accentuates. That's when it becomes life-threatening. When they give up, when they lose the discipline to keep going. I've been surrounded by diabetics all week. And I'm like, Jesus, there's nothing worse to have than that. Every problem in the world will be worse because you're a diabetic. It's like the ultimate comorbid illness. Big. Yeah, the COVID thing, it's like the NHS staff totally suffered from that. And it's like probably seen as like a dark time, and they'd be really surrounded with a lot of death, with these old people who have it around me, them not, you know, being managed, the situation them being dead. Just another thing to go wrong that then hits the shit show, you know, adds shit to the piss. That's saying that adds shit to the piss. It's a very, very old and obvious thing to say. But I started using it when I heard it said in a TV show. It was John Hannah said it. Character John Hannah played Batiatus in Spartacus. And like, wow, that's like a universal. Everybody knows what that means. And it could be a saying that's as true today as it would have been 2,000 years ago, as to make matters worse. Oh, so we had some shit to the piss. We had some piss to the shit. So, let's make the perfect fucked up brew. And that's what it is, that comorbidity. You're already fucked. Something else comes along, whacks you on the head, does you in. Now that force multiplier like that, this NHS adventure I've had in my lifetime has been about that. It's been about it's like the Kafka trap that I've been trapped in has gone now. It's been lifted, right? The NHS no longer believe I'm dying of heart failure, and it's like, yes, finally, you understand it, you get it, and you can't explain it, but you have to accept it because you've got proof of it. You've got hard evidence that you was wrong all along. You know, it's like, if you want to, it's like, and I'm pleased, and it's like the guys who have treated me this week, they're pleased too. It's like the echocardiogram, the like the ultrasound on the heart. It's like that piece of equipment. It was basically saying I had a 25% effective heart. That it was knackered. That one of my ventricles was just not working. And it's like, no. When we went in there and had a look, it's fine. There's no problem. It's like it's just a little bit overworked, and it's like, nice heart, mate. It's like all that grief this thing's put through handling that blood pressure, which we've known about for 20 years, which we've endlessly fucking mithered you about. Every time you walk in to see any kind of NHS doctor, it's like, before we talk about your bad back, before we talk about your bad ankle, we just need to take your vitals. Oh my God, you're suffering from heart failure. You've got a BP at like 220, over 100, over 110. And it's like, it might have something to do with the fact that I've just run here. It might have something to do with I've just rushed here to get here on time for my appointment. I'm a little bit warm. I'm in essence in sports mode. This is kind of my athletics mode. It's like if you want to come around my house and check it out, you'll find it'll be quite a bit less. But it's like I find my second wind real quick, and I also sweat a lot. If I'm outside in the cold and I come into a doctor's surgery and the heating's on full blast, I just burst into sweat. So sweating and high blood pressure to them means heart failure. And they reach straight for heart failure. And nothing I've ever been able to do has stopped the doctors reaching for heart failure. Now, in the first instance, I goes to Rochdale Infirmary and then enters the system. I've not wanted to enter the system. I've been trying to avoid the system. Why? Because all they ever do is tell me I'm dying of fucking heart failure. They don't address anything else. They're like, forget your bad back, we need to deal with this heart failure. Forget your bad ankle, we need to deal with this heart failure. So it's like, I'm in pain with my back. Can you not deal? No, this is more urgent. We have to deal with this. No, forget it. Can you just for a minute stop worrying about the heart failure and address the problem, please? And like, no, we can't. We've got to make sure. And you're like, just give me the fucking piece of paper and I'll sign myself out. I'll go home. Forget it. Hey, forget it. Just forget it. I'll sign out myself. So that's what I've been doing for years with my medical problems is we have to go away and we have to do the research and we have to find workarounds that don't involve the medical system, because the medical system will say, whoa, drop everything, you're dying of heart failure. So I've been in this Kafka trap with the NHS where that's all they ever wanted to talk about. So I've had this attack of shortness of breath, and it was serious. It was, I can't talk, I can't breathe, I can't move. Go on for hours, but fade, actually get better. So I'm like, well, this can't be good for your heart, but it's not necessarily about the blood pressure. The blood pressure is just, in my world, natural and stable. I could always do more to look after myself, and I accept this as to where I think I've got a choice as to where I give up smoking little roll-ups, right? And I'll recover naturally. I'm pretty sure of that. Without the meds, right? I'm going to go on the meds. I'm going to play along. I'm going to actually engage with it. But I believe that if I was just to stop smoking altogether, that I'd just get better. I'd just recover. The only sacrifice I really have to make is to give up smoking. That's the way I understand my own body, because it's like, you guys out there, you can't see how it even works. So in the first instance, I have this breathing incident, which it's respiratory. It's going to appear, it's going to do the heart bad. That's why I made a thing of it as to where this is going to damage my heart. It's no good. And I made it about, look, this is to do with oxygen levels. This is to do with my lungs. This is to do with that hardware. Don't fall for it and start thinking it's about urine heart failure, blood pressure. But it's the only way they can do it. It's the only way they know. They have to go it through it. That, oh, this means that. This always means that. And it's like, what if it doesn't? And they're like, well, it can't not be. And I'm like, it's not. It can't not be. And I'm like, well, you're wrong. And they're like, no, you're crazy, because medical science cannot be incorrect about such things. We know. So it's like, John, you're a crazy person. We know. It's what I'm faced with. So I goes in, don't I? First round, I talked about it in the video I made, and I went in and I'm like, I need to see a doctor here, Mum, but if we go, because I talked to my mother about it, and I'm like, Mum, I need to see a doctor, a proper one, but what's going to happen here is we're going to go to Rochdale Infirmary, they're going to take my blood pressure, they're going to see sweat on my brow, and they're going to say, oh my God, you're dying of heart failure. Or, and then pull me records and say, oh my God, you've been dying of heart failure for years. And it's like, we're going to have to do the heart failure thing, Mum. When I'd swear to God, if I could get on steroids and water tablets, we'd be able to get the water off my lungs and I'd be fine. What? Yeah, that's what's wrong with me. I know what's wrong with me. I've got moisture in my body. It's like over a long period of time, the air quality in my flat where I live has been deteriorating in a way that's invisible, and I'm just where's this dry cough coming from? And it's humidity. That's what's wrong with me. It's like my lungs have got water in them and likely infected. That's what's wrong with me. I've got a chest infection. It's to do with humidity. I've solved it. I know what it is. And if I can go in there, and if they'll listen to me, right, I might be able to get some treatment for that. But no, go in there, blood pressure, heart failure. So get no treatment for the problem. Problem happens again. But I'm like, right, I understand this as to I'm not dying here because it's not heart failure. I know it's not heart failure. So if I'm sat here and I'm in this breathless state, right, I know I'm not going to die because I know it's not heart failure. It's like this is some kind of like autoimmune panic reaction to the environment, and it agitates like an urge to cough up or expel water in my lungs. That's what I put it down to, what's wrong with me. I'm saying to these doctors, I'm like, that's what's wrong with me. And so I'm quite sure of it. And they'll, yeah, but your high blood pressure. I'm like, can you just ignore it for a minute, please? Explained it to one doctor who was a medic and not a heart cardio, right? Explained it, and it's like, yeah, and I'm saying to her, I was like, look, where I live, I don't live in a particularly good place, and it's a humid spot to start with, and the humidity's been extremely high, and it's gotten out of control, and it appears that I've been living in 80% humidity for probably 6 months. And it's like an invisible creeping thing, and also there's been a re-emergence of like lots of mold, like there is in lots of houses in Rochdale, mold, and it's like I haven't stayed really on top of the mold, and that's crept up as well. So we've got mold starting to appear as to where it used to be in the flat, where it was once upon a time mold infested, as to where the mold started to return. So I'm like, this has crept up, but now you notice it, and it's a matter of this dry cough and me just going, oh, it's down to the smoking, which is a problem, you know. When you're a smoker and you start smoking, you start having chest problems, you've got, well, it's down to the fucking smoking. The smoking's part of it, but it's not all of it. It's actually masking. The smoker's cough could be masking something else. So being a smoker, it kind of makes you, you've got something to blame for your respiratory problems. Oh, it's the smoking, I'll cut down on the smoking. So it's not the smoking, you've something else wrong with you. The smoking's not going to do it any good, but you've got something else wrong with you. So I mean, I talked to her, couldn't tell, doctor. I couldn't tell if this doctor was a man or a woman. Couldn't tell. Weird how they've messed up with the world, isn't it? Couldn't tell. But from somewhere like Russia or Romania, Eastern European, and a medic and not a heart surgeon actually listened to me, and I says, and they're like, "What are you on about humidity?" I was like, "Go away and look it up." And she goes onto the same page on the NHS website that I've read, that's on every other website, as to where air quality, humidity becomes dangerous, and get a list of symptoms which are exactly identical to the symptoms that I've been displaying if you ignore the blood pressure. So one of the doctors actually went, she didn't know about that, and then went away and looked it up, didn't know about it, and went, "Oh, you've got a point. Yes, right." Immediately put me on water tablets, steroids, to treat my lungs, to actually give me the medicine I actually wanted in the first place. It's like, this is what I want. I want something to get, something that would encourage my body to reabsorb the water that's accumulated in my heart and lungs. Put me on water tablets and steroids, please. This will fix my problem. If I can now, because I now understand that there's this humidity problem, dehumidifier, deal with it. Mold, deal with it. I can fix this. I can get better. So I'm telling one doctor this, and the cardio guys are like, "Okay, we're taking you now for your CAT scan." It's brilliant. So that I mean, say exchanging words with Vacnin, and he's like, echocardiogram, like this, the ultrasound for the heart. He's like, "No, that's the top test. That's the gold standard in diagnosing heart failure." I'm like, "Oh, I've had one of them." Because I've been explaining to him, it's like, "Look, there's been something funny happen. There's been something funny happen with the old NHS here." And it's like, well, he's been talking to him, so they diagnosed me as being in heart failure. And he's like, "You need an echocardiogram." And I hadn't had one at one, and now I have. And it's like, "Oh yeah, echocardiogram, the gold standard. That says that my heart works at 25% capacity." That test, that visual inspection. But it's like the more advanced next stage, the angiogram, which then gives them the ability to do like keyhole heart surgery and put stents in there to rebuild your open up your rebuild your arteries. No need. Can't believe that it's like the way that all the students were in to watch my echocardiogram, and the guy who'd done the previous test, who said I had 25% lung capacity, he sat there watching it too, because he wants to see what happens next. He wants to see if he was right. He wanted to check. He wanted to check the findings of his part of the. He's a student too. He sat there in the control room watching of screens, and they're in there, and he's like, "What?" And then the surgeon's like, "Where the fuck is it?" I'm like, meh, 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 meh. It's like the ultimate joke there would be as to say, "You are John Collins, aren't you? You are like born 14/12/74. You are this person, yeah?" Because there's a thing that goes on in hospitals now, where as self-identification for everything, it's like code word system, password, and your password to identify yourself is your date of birth. So I've been asked my date of birth this week about 150 times. Can you give us your date of birth, John? 14th of 1274. 14th of 1274. So I'm just expecting that guy to say, you are John Collins, what's your date of birth? To test me as to whether it's me. They're there waiting to see a bloodbath and they don't fucking get one. And I'm like, right, now are you willing to fucking listen to me? Now, can we have a series? Right, we've taken, after all these years, we've taken heart failure off the table. At last, you finally understand that I'm not suffering from heart failure. You get it. You can prove it. It's like you've got the evidence of it. It's like you've got a story to tell. It's like, if you're interested, we can have a conversation now about this. Would you like a conversation, NHS surgeons, about what you've just found, what you've just worked out? What you would never fucking believe what I've been actually trying to tell all of you for 20 years, and I can't be a minority of one who's in this situation where the high blood pressure is actually fucking normal for me, and I'm geared to run at that. And what you're actually seeing there with a slight narrowing of one artery is that I don't exercise enough because my back's fucked, right? I'm, in a way, disabled from quite a lot of activity, right? And I'm a smoker. That's that. That's what you've got left. You've got wear and tear left as to where my lifestyle ain't great because I can't really get around that well. Can't kick a ball around. Couldn't risk going running. So it's like, that's what you found. There is no catastrophe, there is low impact wear and tear. Lots of it. Low impact wear and tear. It's like, you know, if he was to get himself out and walking about, and if he could get his back fixed, or even looked at, maybe, you know, he could be up and running again. Maybe we can actually fix his back. Maybe in the time when they said, no, we're not going to do anything to your back, it could possibly be expensive, we can't afford to do anything about that. What if the technology has got better and that they're actually, without it being a massive big deal, able to fix my back? Maybe in 2024 the technology is available for them to, it's like, oh, there's something broken in there that's like weeping or something like that. Or there's something that's out of place. There's something that's floating in there, something like that. They could see it now. It's to say, oh, look at that. It's the same place. It's always the same problem. We found it. A back X-ray could have changed my life so many times. No one's ever had a look. GP's like, no, we're not bothering with that. Why? Because it'll open a can of worms. They don't want to look at back problems. It's like, but hang on a minute. If I was someone who was like active for a living, say I was a postman or something like that, they would sort it out. But because I'm a sort of indoor, sort of clerical type worker, it's like, fuck him. But saying that, I go and talk about it, and they say, no, forget that. We've got bigger things to worry about. Do you know you're dying of heart failure? Okay. What excuse have they got now not to fix my back now they know that I'm not dying of heart failure? And I go and see a GP and they'll check, my God, you're dying of heart failure. Are you taking anything to manage your blood pressure? Read the fucking notes. That woman, consultant, wouldn't discharge me. Have you read the notes? Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with the notes. I've read all of them. Did you read all of them? Well, no, I didn't have to. The echocardiogram said that you had like 25% heart function. I'm like, I had the angiogram. and they give me the all clear and discharge me. What? How? Go and read the notes. Go and have a look at the video. Just, how's that possible? So I'm not in any way bitter. It's like, I think it's hilarious that I've hit the same system I hit 20 years ago, but this time I stuck with it, and they got dragged through hospital, and it'd be a matter of, I really know, that my problem is with something that's going to amiss with my lungs. And it's like, after the attack where they brought me in, because I was taken in an ambulance in a bad way, yeah? It's like, doesn't need oxygen. What? They thought I'd need to be supported by oxygen. Like, do you want oxygen? Like, no. Like a nebulizer. Put me on one of them nebulizers once, and I'm like, no, this makes me feel worse. This is putting moisture back into my lungs. That's what my problem is. I don't need to cough. I've dealt with this. I'm past this. Don't do that to me. I don't want that thing again. We've got a prescription here for a nebula. No, I don't want it. Don't need it. It's like, you've also put me on steroids and water tablets. I need them. Thank you. I'll keep taking them. And they're like, while I'm there, they're doing their heart thing, and while I'm there, it's like, you've come in here with like shortness of breath, and they're like, that's gone now. The only thing we can account for is now high blood pressure. Why? Because you don't need oxygen and you don't need nebulizers. The way that the way you were when we found you tells us that you need that stuff. Why aren't you gasping for breath? And I'm like, I'm just a world champion of blood pressure. I'm like, get that fucking leaderboard up. I want to see my name in lights as like, this is the highest recorded blood pressure we've ever had on this ward over 24 hours. And he was sat there laid back, chirpy in his chair, complaining that, be complaining about something like the toothpaste. And a lack of sleep. Like, what a time. What a win. What a win. It's a profound win. I'm like, wow, I've won. And it's like, these guys know what these modern NHS guys, right, now understand the damage that the year 2000 NHS did to my life. They understand it, they get it, and they're like, oh, these guys, the 2000 guys were wrong. And if the 2000 guys had gone through with what they were gonna do, they would have done unnecessary heart surgery on me. That's the upshot, man. I did right to abandon them, to run. I did right to run. Why? Because first they was going to ruin my life, and then they were going to fucking kill me with an unnecessary heart bypass operation where they'd cut into me and it'd be a matter of, there's nothing wrong with this. What are we doing here? Tell you, I'd have been dead on the operating table, and they'd have been on their way to fucking harvesting my organs. Look what we got here. We just hit the fucking jackpot with a fucking heart, full set of organs. It's like my mind goes to dark places, and it's like, when you're being railroaded by the NHS into heart surgery, emergency heart surgery, but first we've got to get that blood pressure under control. And then the drugs they put you on to get your blood pressure under control have the side effect of making you like neurotic and almost defenseless. It's like they were asking me to clean up my act so my organs would be better to harvest. I'm fucking telling you, that's the road I was on. Organ harvesting. I can't see it any different than that as to where it's like, you weren't 100% aware of it back then, John, but they were. So we had you earmarked to carve you up into a million pieces because from what we could see, you were dying of congestive heart failure. Did you ever do any real research? Well, why would we? Because it's a win-win. If it's not the case, you know, you don't have to come out of that fucking, you don't have to wake up from that operation. Complications during heart surgery. Well, while he's here, we might as well cut it all open, because otherwise we're going to look twats when we close him back up and say, we didn't have to do anything, there was no problem with your heart. Heads would roll, so I'd have to die on a table. So now it's like, now they've got ways of doing that kind of inspection without cutting you fucking open. I'm like, fuck me. It's like I knew that there was a trap for me in the system. Always. It's like these guys want me on their drugs, these guys want me under their control, and these guys want me dead. And it's like, why do you want him dead? It's like, because of how much I'm worth dead. I'm fucking a liability to those people. Alive cost them money, dead make them a fortune. I'll never get past that. I know about it. It's like, that's the road I was on, and now I can prove it. Prove it. It's like the same, you're seeing the same results, you're checking the same readings, you're making the same conclusions as you did 20 years ago, but now you can get to the bottom of it. You can actually go and have a look without cutting me open. And they've done it, and they're like, yeah, he's not dying. Not dying. It's like, whatever's wrong with that heart, it will get better. It's like, there's no permanent damage here. And then they're like, whoa, let's fight the blood pressure. I'm like, do you really have to? Because it hasn't killed me so far. It's like, might it just be a better idea that one of your fellas just has a look at my back and gets it so I can get to running and jogging around again and be a bit more active, not worried like I'm fucking every step be an adventure, like walking on a tightrope. Maybe we can fix that, and then maybe I can get my general fitness a little bit better, and maybe that will be enough just to get the heart more active, get it exercising more, get it well again. So like, my job now is 8 kinds of medication, or 8 kinds of medication is actually, as I've said, 10. I said 10 and 8 yesterday, but actually the way it works is I've got 8 tablets to take in the morning and 2 to take at night, right? So I'm now aiming to get myself off all of them. They now need to be one by one ruled out and taken out of the equation over a period of time. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not just going to say, hey, John, you're fucking mumbo jumbo about being a little bit different. All right, okay, we've got scientific now proof as to say, yeah, you know, you've got a really robust immune system, and you've got the ability to really heal. And you are an exceptionally hard person to kill. Yes, Yes, we can go with that now. Your blood pressure should have killed you years ago and you're still alive. Okay, you win. It's true. We can't explain it. You're not dead. Well done. We were wrong. Thank you. Piss for me. But I ain't going to roll with that, because that situation with that breathing, that was something that could lead to devastating consequences if that's something that's going to become something that happens regularly. So it's like I've got to manage that. So it's a matter of, I'm going to manage that, right? I'm going to get it so my lungs don't go into fucking total fucking meltdown. I'm going to meticulously manage that. I'm going to stay on the meds they recommend, and just say we'll rule them out one at a time. I don't think the high blood pressure is actually significant. I think that I'm perfectly adapted to the temperature I run at. I think I run at I run with thicker blood, heart works harder, and it just works on its own. It's like you see these things you're running with, these hearts, where you're a petrol, I'm a diesel, and we're a little bit more grunt, maybe a little bit more bottom end. It's more like that, and I've been sure of this for years. I get this. It's like, why aren't I dead? Please, will you have a look at my bad back? Never mind your bad back, you're dying of heart failure. And then it's, now looky here, son, I've been to medical school. You're dying of heart failure. That's a good one. I like that one. Another one is, look, Sonny Jim, I've been a nurse for 25 years and I can tell you, you're dying of heart failure. Never in my lifetime have I seen anyone as profoundly ill as you are, and you don't even care. I've had every flavour of it. Really the best one was the surgeon who signed off on my discharge, when he says, stop the telemetry. Because the information that they were getting from my telemetry of 24 hours a day monitoring my heart was doing their heads in, because they could only look at it one way, and what they saw was congestive heart failure, and it be confirmed with every beat of that heart. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, he's dying. It's funny. It's just like you go down to they send you down to the cardio ward, and they're like, well, you're going to be on this ward from now on. We've got your bed in the cardio ward. After you have your procedure, you'll be going into the cardio ward, so we've got your bed. And then 5 minutes after you come out from your angiogram, it's like, no, you're not going to cardio ward. Why? Because somebody else needs it. You don't need to go in there. Why? What are we going to do when you're in there? You can go home. It's like, cardio ward for what? We didn't do anything to you. You don't need to recover from anything. And I'm saying to these guys, I'm like, right, you don't really understand what you're dealing with me. And then these dogs are like these stents you fancy putting in. Yeah, well, it's a normal procedure. People, they do. Like, my body will reject them. They'll end up dislodging, and things will happen, and I'll be in fucking agony with bits of whatever they're made of becoming dislodged, and they might kill me. Like, what? So yeah, my body will reject them and start pushing them out. It'll start working to fucking spew them and find ways of shitting them out. Like, what? Like, yeah, it's like, it's just a thing with my body's like, it's antibodies, and it works in so many different ways. As my body resists all sorts of stuff, and they're like, are you for real? And I'm like, right, you see these sticking things you keep putting on my body trying to monitor my heart? It's like, how often do you have to change them? I was like, it's like every 2 or 3 hours. It's like they're stuck on with silicone. And it's like, my skin just rejects the stuff and it just falls off. The stickiness goes away and they just plop. So, no. It's like you start sticking things in me that are synthetic or else foreign. It's like my body will just throw them out. It's like splinters. I get a splinter in my finger and it's a matter of it don't stay in there very long. So my body will says, you put them stents in, it's like my body will fight against them and resist them. And they're like, what the fuck are you on about? So they get in there and they find nothing wrong, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good do. They're not going to put them stents in, so I'm not going to be in fucking agony when my body rejects them. That's something amazing. I've dodged another bullet. Something else I'm not going to die of. Complications from heart surgery. With them not putting any gizmos or gadgets inside me. It's like, thanks for that. And it's like, and while we're here, while we're doing all this, while we're going through all this shit, course of steroids, water tablets, is fixing my lungs, taking the dry cough away, restoring the breathing, giving the stamina back. So I'm like, okay, I'm going along with your thing, but you're going along with mine as well, and I'm so grateful that you are, because I'm getting better. And they've got me in there, so the blood pressure's not going down, but he is getting better, you know. Blood pressure still says dying of heart failure, but he's getting better. And it's like he's sat there and he's nice and friendly and he's chirpy and he's polite and he's helpful and friendly. And we take his blood pressure, and his blood pressure says he should be a raging fucking maniac who can't control his temper. The being able to make a game of the my blood pressure because they come and monitor it like every hour for weeks, a week, every hour. It's like, can we take your blood pressure? Can we take your blood pressure on telemetry? And can we take your blood pressure? Bang, 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 hour after hour after hour. Able to turn it into a game and say, right, you ready to play? It's like it's not an act good enough to take on the road, but if someone wants to pay me like $1,000 a time to turn up, if you pay for me transportation, have your medical students, all of them examine me from cold and see what they come up with, and let's see if they all diagnose me as being suffering from congestive heart failure. Yeah, he's got all the hallmark signs of, and then show them my test results and bloods, and they'll look at my bloods and say, yeah, well, it looks like, there's been some trauma there, there's been some stress. The levels are telling us this and that. Yeah, there's definitely been something happen. There's been some upset in the heart. The heart has reacted here to what seems to be, we can confirm you've had a heart attack. Blood says heart attack. Why? Your heart says so. Fine, move on to the next bit. There's some kind of there's a shadow here in the lung in the x-ray. Okay, that leads to believe, there is a problem, something's happened. CAT scan. And it's like, heart larger than it should be. And it's like, well, that suggests it's weak. Moves on. echocardiogram, ultrasound, looking at the heart, boom, 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 boom. Can't really get a look at it. A spine through my rib cage, and it's like, you know, you're actually fucking hurting me with that thing you're trying to, that ultrasound piece of kit. That hurts. That. So yeah, well, we're having to jam it between your ribs to get a look. So it's a poor keyhole picture. The whole picture's not there, and you've already decided what's going on. So you're just looking for more evidence to prove your hypothesis true, that I'm in heart failure, and it looks bad, right? And then you go for your magic bullet, what would have been the only thing that would be available to them other than like open heart surgery. They were talking to me about my need to have open heart surgery earlier this week. We're going to go in there and we're going to put stents in. This is what they're talking about. We're going to put stents in, and we're going to, if that isn't enough, we're going to put you down for immediate emergency surgery. I ain't kidding. That's why they had the Ward 2 bed ready for me, to prep me for open heart surgery. Like, wow. I'm getting pissed off because I'm waiting 3 days for this angiogram, which they're saying I need urgently, but they've delayed. They say we're going to do it Wednesday, they say we're going to do it Thursday, we say we're going to do it Friday, and I'm like, look, can we not get this over with by Friday? I've got things to be doing. And they're like, this guy's aloof, he's crazy, he doesn't realise just how ill he is. And I'm like, no, you think I'm fucked, and I'm not. There's something else wrong with me, and you but while we're all here, I am getting treated for that too, so I'll play with you. I'm open to suggestion. Said a little prayer. Wasn't that afraid, I was confident. I wasn't afraid when I was going for that angiogram. I wasn't afraid. I'm like, I'm going to be right here. And I said a little prayer to the boss. I'm like, you better not let me down this time. Like, all good I've done, all the input I've had, all good I've done, all truth I've pointed to, number of people I've helped. I'm like, I'm going to be very disappointed with you, Lord, if I go in there and it turns out that my heart's knackered. He says, that's not part of the deal. So, as a conversation with the boss as to where angry, kind of, but I'm like, you've never let us down before, so let this not be the first time, okay? To be told, like, okay, mate, to be given the rookie speech at the last bit, it's like, well, you know, it's like you really need to think about giving up smoking, and that's all they can ever come back with. It's the NHS, smoking, and we haven't got enough money. They're just cliches. You really want to think about giving up smoking, because in the future you get it where as to where you'll need stents, you'll need this, you'll need that. And I'm like, you mean all the things you said I needed about an hour ago that you say I no longer need? If I continue to smoke, I'm going to need them. I'm like, oh no, whatever will I do? Maybe in 20, 30 years' time, I'll be back needing these stents. Yeah, get this guy out of here. Get off that telemetry. Stop looking at it. Stop looking at it. Stop gathering information on this fellow and send him home. Consultant woman, well, no, we can't let you go. Why are you going around telling people that the consultant says that you can be discharged? Oh, because he discharged me. I saw the paperwork. I saw him sign off on it. I saw it, and it's like not written like any other report you've ever fucking seen. It's like there's boxes for him to write in, and he writes it like a receipt. Over the top of it, terminate. Telemetry. Discharge as soon as possible. Written big, bold. Like, did you not see that bit? She's like, no, I read the whole thing. She was like engrossed in this set of reports. Oh, I read the whole. I'm like, did you read about this operation I had? No, you haven't had one. Yes, I have. Oh. We went in there and there's nothing wrong. Oh, how? Don't ask me. I mean, I've been telling you. I've been telling people in your profession for 20 years that you're barking up the wrong tree. I went to see a GP with a rash 20 years ago and more, nearly 25 years ago, with a rash, and came out with a diagnosis of hypertension. And they can never do that again, because they know. And they know better than I do now, because they've got the receipts. It's like they've got the video. So you come out of surgery at the angiogram, and it's like, how'd you get on? You're out quick. This procedure can take anything from 20 minutes to like an hour and a half, depending on how much they have to do work-wise. And it's like, you're out in like the minimum time it takes to do. Hang on, how are you out with her so quickly? No. All the prognosis was incorrect. All of the speculation as to what the condition was. No. Once we got down there to it, the story inside the place said, no. Is this the right guy? Have we brought the wrong guy down? Has he got a twin brother? Has he switched? Has he run away and left a doppelganger in his place to take this test? To have this operation? I find this hilarious. To where they've got a book on me where it's like the book on me they've got is like I Am Legend, like the real I Am Legend book. It's like the last page retcons the entire story. it's like the Shawshank Redemption, where it's like, well, he's going down for his angiogram and he's going to be having a triple heart bypass, and so no, he's not. Is this the right bloke? Like, work out how that works. Fucking do it. Medical science, please. Explain me. Explain how I've not died from that intensely high blood pressure for years. Explain the lack of damage to my heart having been put under that pressure for so long. Explain it. Please do try. So confident they were. Always. Right up until they had a look and they didn't find nothing. It's amazing. I'm like, yeah, right. I no longer need to fight that. It's gone. It's not a matter of I was right all along. No, there's that, but there's the right. We don't have to fight about that anymore. Can we agree? Can me and the doctors agree that they don't fucking know everything now, and that they've missed something? And if they've missed something in me, they've missed it in others as well. But hey, in 2002 or something like that, me on operating table, when they open up my heart and have a look at it and say, we shouldn't be cutting on this guy, there's nothing wrong with him. Oh fuck, what do we do now? Let's harvest his organs, shall we? That's in this. It's part of it. You think they'd close me back up and said, John, we've made some terrible, terrible blunder with our diagnosis here, and we're so sorry. We've fucked up your health probably for good by sewing your fucking rib cage open and exposing your heart to the atmosphere, and when we were in there we didn't find anything wrong, so we just closed you back up, and now we're saying sorry, we were wrong all along. No, that's me. That's my next of kin. That's them getting in contact with my mother saying, I'm sorry, John's died of a terrible complication, heart failure in surgery. Or died of some terrible incident during heart surgery. Fuck off. It's the only way they'd be able to survive getting sued for doing a massively necessary piece of surgery, and that NHS doesn't operate in such a way as to where it's going to let a perfectly good surgeon slide because of a fucking alien, reptilian, ancient alien, Atlantean, Hebrew, Lemurian, whatever you want to call my tribe. No one needs to lose their career over just some fucking working class guy who's got interest in genetics. I don't think I'm being unreasonably dark about it. It's like I've had a life imposed on me by the NHS, even though I've had nothing to do with them. It's like they've imposed my life on me in some regard, in a meaningful way. They let it be known to the world of work, the professional world, that I'm someone who could die at the drop of a hat, who's in essence a fucking fantasist lunatic off his meds, because he's dangerously ill. He could die any moment in time, but he won't admit it. We keep telling him, and it's like, not dead. Please leave me the fuck alone. Do you think they might leave me alone now? Do you think they might cooperate with me and listen to me and actually help me? I think they will. I think they'll stop wanting to try to cut me up, because there's no need. So it's like, yeah, I walk away from my recent experience and call it a positive experience and a victory, even though I'm taking like 8 medications in the morning and 2 in the evening. And it's like, the next mission is to learn about all of those medications and then start to eliminate them with the cooperation of my doctors. Now that they know now that we can get past the wrongness and get into what's going to work. So it's hard to put into words for me just how pleased I am about this outcome. It's real. This is a big victory for me, a big bonus, a boost. It's too late for me to get a second chance at life. I'm too old. I needed something like this to happen 10 years ago. It's like, yeah, John, you're not crazy. You're right. Well, thank you. Like, what else might I be right about? What else might I be right about? Because I'm certainly right about if you don't sleep properly, you don't shit right. And just like, if you're one of these people who burns the midnight oil and doesn't have a regular sleep pattern, you're not going to have a regular pattern for taking a dump either, and that'll lead to all kinds of other problems that you could otherwise do without. But yeah, it's, me, it's all just country medicine.